We're taught to admire ambition, to chase greatness, to believe in ourselves beyond what's reasonable, beyond what others would dare. But what we don't talk about is the cost. Ambition comes at a cost. It puts you in a position of vulnerability where you can be ridiculed for your lofty goals. People dare to be great, but the higher you reach, the higher you fall. That is the risk that comes with being ambitious. To have belief in yourself, to have such extravagant self-belief that many people don't dare to have. For many people don't have the courage to chase greatness. To chase greatness is to put yourself in a position for great failure. Yet perhaps the greatest failure of all is never considering it as even a possibility. To live and die with what-ifs in our mind, rather than validating our beliefs with actions in reality. This is a story about a man who believed in himself without reservation, and what that belief eventually cost him. Ilia Topuria was 17-0, leading up to his fight with Justin Gaethje. He was hailed as one of the greatest strikers in all of MMA, a man with one of the most vicious and technical skill sets the sport had seen. He was greatness personified in many ways. He imagined it, he believed it, and he followed through on those nurtured and manifested beliefs to take him as far as he came. It's what brought about his iconic 3-fight win streak against men who will one day sit in the Hall of Fame. The poise before his fights, the celebrations, were all meditations for victory, setting the standard that success was inevitable. It was this unshakable mindset that outsiders perceived as arrogance. But for the greats, it's merely a tool of manifesting a reality that starts with self-belief and corresponds with ruthless action and dedication each and every day. And it's easy to admire that from a distance. It's much harder to sit with what it costs when it stops working. We live in a social media age where this type of mindset is open to be ridiculed. It's a toxic environment, one where people lesser in ambition claim to belittle those who had belief in themselves. Their own lack of belief gets projected onto those who fall short. They validate their own shortcomings, their own lack of courage, by hurling abuse at those at their lowest. Up until his most recent fight, Topuria was undefeated, unblemished. He looked like a world beater, almost untouchable in the cage. There was no opportunity at that point to capitalize on his perceived arrogance. Until he stepped into a fight that bruised and battered him in a devastating fashion. The narrative going in revolved around the gap between champion and contender. The beating Gaethje was supposedly walking into. People wondered why the fight was even booked. And then it happened. Bloody, bruised, cut on one eye, then the next, virtually blind. He looked like but a shadow of the man we thought we knew, tired, beat down, broken. And still he came forward. Still he walked towards his opponent. Up until the very end, he was willing to die in that cage. Ultimately, what ended the fight wasn't him. It was the people around him. It was his brother, Alexander, who looked into the eyes of a man who refused to stop giving everything. A man with an exceptional lack of doubt in himself, who would go to nothing short of everything to realize his intentions. His brother had to stop the fighter before it went too far. He saw the reality of the situation and chose, in that moment, to act as a brother, not a coach. Topuria's story confirms, at first, how ambition can come at a cost, how it can consume us. Our unrelenting ambition can cause us to act hastily without careful consideration for our own well-being. He continued to persist in that fight, despite the clear gap that had opened between him and his opponent, despite the beating he was absorbing. And yet, ironically, it was this exact same mindset that had brought him this far in the first place. And I feel like that's the part worth sitting with. It's not that ambition or arrogance or self-belief is the problem. It's about using that ambition to drive us, but not to consume us into making irrational, poor decisions that offset our progress in the long run. His brother understood that. Ending the fight wasn't an act against Topuria's ambition. It was an act for it, for the sake of fulfilling that ambition somewhere further down the road, rather than losing everything to it in one night. Ambition for Topuria meant to stop at nothing to achieve his premeditated goals. But perhaps ambition also meant to live to fight another day, to show up and recognize that we've fallen short. Not forever, just for today. I've always come back to this idea. Why live life if we do not aspire to live it full? We're placed within an incredibly finite period of time, far beyond our scope of understanding, with the opportunity to feasibly create our own fulfilling reality through our decisions. It's up to us to see how far we can push that boundary, to identify our limits, to stretch our capacities, to scratch and claw every inch for the sake of our dreams, our ideals, our identity. But we shouldn't lose sight of our humanity in the process. Our demands for greatness can't always coincide with how our body, how our life responds to them. Inevitably, we get burnt out, emotionally overwhelmed, knocked down by the volatility of a life that's much out of our control. Ambition is something we ought to pursue. It should be a virtue we hold up and encourage in the people around us. I look up to Topuria for his demand of himself, for a belief grounded in everyday commitments to his goals. But I admire him even more after the loss, because it shows that in spite of it all, he is human, an exceptional human being, one whose exceptional character was built by that same mindset. A wounded lion is still a lion, and it's our rise from hardship that vitalizes our mental strength. It affirms that our ambition isn't predicated on our circumstances or our environment, but on the standard we set within ourselves. It's important that our lofty ambition doesn't sacrifice our capacity to forgive ourselves, to understand that success isn't always guaranteed, that in reaching for the stars, almost inevitably, we will eventually fall back to the ground. But we don't fall to the abyss. We dust ourselves off. We pick ourselves back up. Ambition only costs us when we let it consume us, when we have to use ambition as a product of who we are, not something that tears us apart. It's the pursuit of the big dream that should be the aspiration, not the goal itself. When we decide to become a great athlete, or a musician, or anything else, we should be proud of that decision alone. Proud of having the courage to take the first steps up a mountain that is our own ambition. The decision to believe and to follow through on that belief. That's all we need. Everything else is just extra.